Hello everyone and welcome back to our reading of The Swiss Family Robinson. Today's chapter, The Trial of the Seahorse. Let's get started. At last came the day when Fritz was to make his trial trip with the kayak. Completely equipped in swimming costume, trousers, jacket and cap, it was most ludicrous to see him cower down in the canoe and puff and blow till he began to swell like a frog in the fable. All trace of his original figure was speedily lost, and shouts of laughter greeted his comical appearance. Even his mother could not resist a smile, although the dress was her invention. I got the other boat out, that my wife might see we were ready to go to his assistance the moment it became necessary. The kayak was launched from a convenient shelving point and floated lightly on the sea-green ocean mirror. Fritz, with his paddles, then began to practice all manner of evolutions, darting along with arrowy swiftness, wheeling to the right, then to the left, and at last flinging himself quite on his side. While his mother uttered a shriek of terror, he showed that the tiny craft would neither capsize nor sink. Then, recovering his balance, he sped securely on his further way. Encouraged by our shouts of approbation, he now boldly ventured into the strong current of Jackal River, and was rapidly carried out to sea. This being more than I had bargained for, I lost no time in giving chase in the boat with Ernest and Jack. My wife, urging us to greater speed, declared that some accident could not fail to happen to that horrid soap bubble. We soon arrived outside the bay at the rocks where formerly lay the wreck, and gazed in all directions for signs of the runaway. After a time, we saw at a considerable distance a faint puff of smoke, followed by the crack of a pistol. Upon this, we fired a signal shot, which was presently answered by another, and steering in the direction of the sound, we soon heard the boys' cheery halloo. The kayak darted from behind a point of land, and we quickly joined company. "Come to this rocky beach," cried Fritz. "I have something to show you." With blank amazement, we beheld a fine, round-grown young walrus harpooned and quite dead. "Did you kill this creature, my dear Fritz?" I exclaimed, looking around in some anxiety and half expecting to see a naked savage come to claim the prize. "To be sure, Fowler. Don't you see my harpoon? Why do you doubt it?" "Well, I scarcely know," replied I, laughing, "but success so speedy, so unexpected, and so appropriate to an amateur Greenlander took me by surprise. I congratulate you, my boy, but I must tell you that you have alarmed us by making this long trip. You should not have gone out of the bay. I left your mother in grievous trouble." "Indeed, Fowler, I had no idea of passing out of sight, but once in the current I was carried along and could not help myself. Then I came on a herd of walruses, and I did so long to make a prize of one that I forgot everything else, and made chase after them beyond the influence of the current, until I got near enough to harpoon this fine fellow. He swam more slowly, and I struck him a second time. Then he sought refuge among these rocks and expired." I landed and scrambled to where he lay, but I took care to give him the contents of my pistol before going close up having a salutary recollection of the big serpent's parting fling at you, Jack. You ran a very great risk, said I. The walrus is an inoffensive creature, but when attacked and wounded, it often becomes furious, and turning upon its pursuer can destroy with its long tusks a strongly built railboat. However, thank God for your safety. I value that above 1,000 such creatures. Now, what's to be done with him? He must be quite 14 feet long, although not fully grown. I am very glad you followed me, Faller, said Fritz. But our united strength will not remove this prodigious weight from among these rocks. Only do let me carry away the head with these grand snow-white tusks. I should so like to fasten it on the prow of the kayak and name it the Seahorse. We must certainly carry away the beautiful ivory tusks, said I, but make haste. The air feels so excessively close and sultry, I think a storm is brewing. But the head! We must have the whole head, cried Jack. Just think how splendid it will look on the kayak. And how splendid it would smell too when it begins to putrefy, added Ernest. What a treat for the steersman. Oh, we won't prepare for that, said Fritz. It shall be soaked and cleaned and dried until it is as hard as a wooden model. It shall not offend your delicate nose in the least, Ernest. While thus speaking, we were actively engaged in the decapitation of the walrus and in cutting off long strips of its skin. This took some time as we had not the proper implements, and Fritz remarked that in future the kayak must be provided with a hunting knife and a hatchet, adding that he should like to have a small compass in a box with a glass top fixed in front of the hole, where the steersman sits. I saw the necessity of this, and I promised it should be done. Our work being accomplished, we were ready to go, and I proposed to take Fritz and the canoe on board our boat so that we might all arrive together, but I yielded to his earnest wish to return alone, as he had come. He longed to act as our avant courier, and announce our approach to his mother, so he was soon skimming away over the surface of the water, while we followed at a slower rate. Black clouds, meanwhile, gathered thick and fast around us, and a tremendous storm came on. Fritz was out of sight and beyond our reach. We buckled on the swimming belts and firmly lashed ourselves to the boat, so that we might not be washed overboard by the towering seas which broke over it. The horizon was shrouded in darkness. Fearful gusts of wind lashed the ocean into foam. Rain descended in torrents, while livid lightning glared athwart the gloom. Both my boys faced the danger nobly, and my feelings of alarm were mingled with hope on finding how well the boat behaved. The tempest swept on its way, and the sky began to clear as suddenly as it had been overcast. Yet the stormy waves continued for a long time to threaten our frail bark with destruction, in spite of its buoyancy and steadiness. Yet I never lost hope for ourselves. All my fears were for Fritz. The fact I gave him up for lost, and my whole agonized heart arose in prayer for strength to say, "Thy will be done." At last we rounded the point, and once more entering Safety Bay, quickly drew near the little harbor. What was our surprise our overwhelming delight when there we saw the mother with Fritz, as well as her little boy on their knees in prayer, so earnest for our deliverance that our approach was unperceived until, with cries of joy, we attracted their notice. Then, indeed, ensued a happy meeting, and we gave thanks together for the mercy which had spared our lives. Returning joyfully to Rockburg, we changed our drenched garments for warm, dry clothes, and seated at a comfortable meal, considered and described at our ease the perils of the storm. Afterward, the head of the walrus was conveyed to our workshop, where it underwent such a skillful and thorough process of cleaning, embalming, and drying that ere long it was actually fixed on the prow of the kayak. The most imposing appearance it presented. The strips of hide, when well tanned and prepared, made valuable leather. Much damage had been done by the late storm. The heavy rain had flooded all the streams and injured crops, which should have been housed before the regular rainy season. The bridge over Jackal River was partly broken down, and the water tanks and pipes all needed repair, so our time was much occupied in restoring things to order. Having a good supply of clay brought from the bed near Falconhurst, I proposed to use it for making aqueducts. For observing how much the recent rain had promoted the growth of our young corn, I determined to irrigate the fields with the drainage from our crushing mill. The fishing season was again successful. Large takes of salmon, sturgeon, and herring rewarded our annual exertions, and our storeroom again assumed a round-stocked appearance. Much as I wished that we could obtain a constant supply of these fish fresh, I was obliged to reject the naive proposal from Jack that we should tether a shoal of salmon by the gills to the bottom of the bay. Many quiet, uneventful days passed, and I perceived that the boys, wearied by the routine of farm work at Rockburg, were longing for a cruise in the yacht or an expedition into the woods which would refresh both mind and body. "Father," said Fritz at last, "we want a quantity of hurdles, and have scarcely any more bamboos of which to make them. Had we not better get a supply from Woodlands? We might visit the Gap at the same time." I had really no objection to propose. It was shortly afterwards settled that Fritz, Jack, and Franz should start together, and that Ernest, who had no great desire to accompany his brothers, should remain with his mother and me, and assist in the construction of a sugar mill, the erection of which I had long contemplated. Before they started, Fritz begged some bear's meat from the mother to make pemmican. "And what may pemmican be?" she asked. "It is food carried by the fur traders of North America on their long journeys through the wild country they traverse. It consists of bear or deer's flesh, first cooked and then pounded or ground to powder. It is very portable and nourishing." His mother consented to humor him, as she said, although with much faith in the value of the preparation. And in the course of 2 days, a stock of pemmican sufficient for a polar expedition was fabricated by our enthusiastic son. And that would be all for today. I'll see you all next time. See ya!